This finish, Kyle Glaser, Baseball America. He'll join us at 3:30. Cody Moon named Mountain West Defensive Player of the Week in his Aztec debut, the linebacker. He will join us in the 5 o'clock hour. We continue Sports Wrap with NBC7 with Todd Strain for the first 20 or so minutes here of the show. It is John and Jim on a Monday afternoon. Todd, we appreciate you joining us. I'll get to you in a second. Jim, we need to start, obviously. Well, there's a lot. I mean, obviously, we'll get to San Diego State here today.
What happened this weekend?
The Padres, of course, were swept in Milwaukee. We joked, although we were serious. We're like, literally, the Padres were taken off life support, and they went easily, and they went quietly, because that's just the story of the Padres in 2023. So we can stop beating around the bush. Like you said in your update, the thing is over. Mm-hmm. The autopsy has begun. How is it fixed for 2024? What does it look like in 2024? And we'll get into it, Todd, coming up in a moment. I have no idea, but it's amazing. We're in August, Jim, and the thing is over and finished, and nobody would have imagined it unless you've watched the Padres play this year.
We kind of had this feeling for a while now, ever since, they just could not get over that hump of 500. They could not win more than 3 games in a row. And there was a glimmer of hope there right after the trade deadline when they were 55 and 56. And then they completely wet the bed. Every single one of their big bats got completely ice cold. They have one of the worst records in August. They haven't been above 500 since May. This season has been a complete and total absolute disaster. There's no redeeming qualities to this year. The autopsy is going to be very interesting to see, and it will be very interesting to see how the Padres spin this season to make sure the fan base doesn't legit riot.
Welcome to John and Jim, Todd.
Yes.
This is our show for the last 5 months. Todd Strain, NBC7. Help us figure out the 2023 Padres. I know you just spent 20 or 30 minutes with Darren talking about this very subject. How has this happened, and is it rectifiable for next year or not?
No one knows how this has happened, you guys. AJ Preller doesn't know. He doesn't have an answer. Bob Melvin always, time and time again, says, I don't know. If you know, tell me in these media scrums. Players don't have answers. It's just a real perplexing season. And I like what you guys said. Forget the wild card. This season is over. No more checking the standings or anything like this. How do you fix it? I don't know how you fix it, because the roster is so top heavy. You can't just make some trades. My inclination is almost, if you bring most of the core back, it's going to be different, because these are good ball players. And it was better last year. But man, that's what makes this so frustrating and so perplexing, is no one has an answer. And whether it's Jim or John or Darren or whatever baseball scout, you can give me an answer and you can go to someone else and their answer is going to be totally different. So I don't have an idea. I wish I did, guys.
And we've spent the last 5 months saying the exact same thing. And literally next hour, here's your tease for the 3 o'clock hour. Mm-hmm. In the 4 o'clock hour, Jim has some things to say about AJ Preller. We'll let him do it in the 4 o'clock hour. Mm-hmm. And I think what he's going to say, by the way, and you know what he's going to say, I think a lot of it is going to be fair. Now, with all that being said, anyone can say whatever they want about AJ Preller. But at the end of the day, Peter Seidler is the one that makes the decisions on whether AJ Preller is going to return or not. The last time we heard from Peter Seidler, not only did he back his GM, he had literally glowing things to say about him, referring to AJ Preller as excellent. So unless there's this amazing about face, Jim, and we'll get into it more in the 4 o'clock hour, but unless there's this amazing about face, we can all be as critical as we want of AJ Preller. But Peter Seidler is his boss, and Peter Seidler apparently thinks he's doing a very good job.
Well, I don't know what he's watching, because this is not a good job. And by not a good job, I don't mean
he hasn't done a good job.
Exactly. Now, you could also make the argument that this literally is not a good job if it was a vacant role. And we've talked about that, especially you, how if they happen to let go of AJ Preller, which at this point in time, I think we'd all agree that would be kind of shocking in itself. Maybe even more shocking than this season, to be honest with you, especially after the way that Peter Seidler has spoken about AJ Preller. So, even if this were to happen, this job is not a good job to take because of the amount of issues and roadblocks that this team is dealing with for the foreseeable future. You've said it a lot, and I've heard it a lot being said, and I'll be curious to get your thoughts, Todd. Like, as far as next year goes, this sentiment that they're just going to be better next year because it can't get worse, I don't see that. It's a hard see for me because of the amount of pieces they're losing this year, and I would be shocked if the payroll goes up. So to me, to think that just resetting it and running it back and not having any knee-jerk reaction, I don't know what the whole knee-jerk reaction thing is. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, knee-jerk reaction. I mean, this is the worst season in franchise history for the expectations they had. To just run it back next year, run it back from what? Run it back from a team that isn't going to finish above 500? Like, run it back for that? And I don't get it. Like, what do you think, Todd?
Well, run it back. I mean, the reason I think that comes up a lot is because who are you going to trade? Sure, that they're probably going to lose Hader and they're probably going to lose Snell, but who are you going to trade? Nobody's going to take Xander Bogaerts off your hands right now. He still has 10 years on the contract. No one's taken Manny Machado. That's and they're not trading him. Soto, I mean, it would be foolish to trade him right now at this point. Who are you trading? No one's offering you anything for Jake Cronenworth. So what are your options other than just make some minor changes around the outside, or maybe, make a big change to the GM or make a managerial change? But those things often don't lead to success on the field right away. I don't see a path where this team looks different, much different next season. If somebody does, please share it with me, because I would love to see a different team. I just don't see how they get there.
And that's a great point. And that goes to my point that Jim was just making, which is like, even if you replaced AJ Preller tomorrow, what's the next guy going to do? You could bring in Theo Epstein, the best modern executive in the history of the sport. And he's got like $180 million of contracts for 2024. And he's got dudes under contract through age 42 seasons.
Yeah.
And like multiple players. So it's like, unless you are somehow able to move heaven and earth. Now, the one thing I will say, I was thinking about this in the drive-in. If everyone's still intact in 2024, Tyler owns the team, he will, which is a good thing considering the way he's spent. But AJ Preller's back. Who knows about the manager? If nothing else, and Todd, kind of to your point, I don't know how they do this. If nothing else, I will say this. I want to hear what Jim's thought on this. You got to make one real change with this core group. And I don't know what it is. I'm not saying in the big four. Mm-hmm. I'm saying even if it costs you money, even if you have to eat salary to do it, you have to make a move that says we're willing to make real change because this thing was unacceptable. And we see it goes beyond just the coaching staff and the front office and ownership. Like, you guys didn't perform and someone is going to go as a result of it. I think just to say, hey, the big four and Darvish and Cronenworth, and it's at some level, you got to be willing to do something in the offseason. It's like, wow, I can't believe the Padres did that before the 2024 season. They said, Juan Soto, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it with Soto. But I think you got to be willing to switch things up a little bit, because I just feel like this team's gotten a little comfortable because everyone's under contract. And what are the repercussions of not playing good baseball, being back in 2024?
Well, and like Todd said, and we agree, the moves to make are impossible to make. You're not trading away. You can't trade away Manny Machado, not because you don't want to, but because you physically cannot do it. No trade clause, and no one's taking that contract. Same exact thing with Xander Bogaerts, and same exact thing with Fernando Tatis Jr. Now, the only player that you could essentially trade of the big four is Juan Soto. Mm-hmm. Is that good for the team? I don't know. Is that going to help you win in 2024? Some might say yes. I would say no.
Right.
So I think the move that's going to be made that will shake things up, right, is the move that is completely looking away from the main problems with the team. And that's unfortunately going to be Bob Melvin, because it is the easiest thing to do when a team is having this type of year off of a season they had and the expectations, the money being spent. The easiest thing to do to try to change things and to tell a fan base that we, quote unquote, listen to you and we are going to make changes is unfortunately firing a manager that frankly, to me, doesn't have, should not have all of this blame on him. There's blame for sure. And Todd, I mean, I don't know how you feel about Bob Melvin, but I think Bob Melvin deserves blame. But to deserve blame to be fired for this, I think it's kind of looking in the wrong direction. What do you think?
I agree with you. Bob Melvin deserves blame. If you're looking at a pie chart, he's at about 1% of this. As I was telling Darren earlier, this is on the players. They've underperformed. Something's amiss in that clubhouse. Something's not right. They don't have good at bats when they need good at bats. I mean, we can go on and on. We all watch Padre baseball. We know what's going on. Just to get back to how you fix this, revisionist history. I mean, everybody thought Xander Bogaerts' signing was just kind of like the rich getting richer at the time. But looking back, like that is a move that clearly hurt this team flexibility. They can't make a move. They can't make multiple moves, other moves because of that contract. And to have Hassan Kim at shortstop, and which is his best position and helps your roster fit and fluidity in so many ways, and not have Xander Bogaerts on your team, that was the move that really put the Padres in this hole right now with this disappointing season. They just don't have a move. I can't think of one, at least, with Bogaerts at shortstop at that contract.
Right. Like the two most damning things of the last year are that you've got the same record as the Washington Nationals. I mean, that's extremely damning.
Yeah.
You traded your future for your now, and your now is there now.
Yep.
So that doesn't make any sense.
No.
The other damning thing is Hassan Kim's going to get paid, and now you might not be able to pay him because you signed Jay Cronenworth. And if you would have locked up Kim early in this year, we just had Dan Zimborski, Todd from Fangraphs on. He's like, he's going to get everything that Dansby Swanson got and more. And that's $25 million per year per Fangraphs. Dan Zimborski studies this for a living. He's like, he's going to get $150. He's going to get 6 years. He's going to get $25 million. You might say it's a lot of money for a guy that's defense first, but he's really come along offensively. But how damning is that, Jim, that you got this guy that's going to be a free agent out a year, that's basically carried your team, and you traded with the Washington Nationals for now, and you're not even one game ahead of them now.
Yeah, it's a complete failure of like epic biblical proportions. I and another thing, Todd, you mentioned
good understatement.
Like Genesis 1:1.
Right. It's like Judgment Day.
Wow.
The entire everything's blown up. The Xander Bogaerts signing at the time, you're like, yeah, I mean, of course, right? Xander Bogaerts. Why not? He's
two-time champ.
Two-time champ. He's been a career 300 hitter. More the merrier, right? Hey, you want to add as many good players as possibly can. And, looking back, obviously revisionist history and being hindsight, which what it is, it makes no sense now. And then, of course, getting into spring training, the Manny opt-out, I think, played a role in some things as well, as far as clubhouse dynamic goes. I don't know how much, but you can't tell me that it didn't play any type of role in this season. And, getting back to the risks that were taken, like, trading away as much as they did for Juan Soto. Okay. Yes, we have advocated you make that trade every single day because you get the best player in Juan Soto. But we've also said, and I'm sure you'll agree, Todd, there is massive risk to that move. There just is. And hopefully the risk pays off with a huge reward. Now, it kind of almost did last year, making the NLCS and almost making the World Series. But now you're in a situation where that risk is potentially going to backfire in a huge, huge way. I mean, hell, it already did. This season's a disaster. This season is a lost failure of a year. And so that move doesn't pay off this season. I don't know if it's going to pay off next year. I don't even know if he's making the team next year. I don't know if they're going to keep Juan Soto or trade him. That's going to be a huge talking point during the offseason. But to my point about AJ Preller, when you take big swings like this and you miss, and you don't miss just once, you miss like a lot, there has to be repercussions for that.
What do you think, Todd, about Preller's future? I mean, 9 years in, he's got an NLCS last year. He had the 2020 season. We know what the owner has said about him, but I mean, what 2019 collapse, 2021 collapse. This thing's just been a collapse all year. I mean, is this a foregone conclusion that he will be back in 2024 because of what the owner has said about him in the middle of this year?
I tend to agree with what you guys said earlier. I mean, this is Peter Seidler's call, and Seidler has given us no indication at any point that he's going to make a change. He believes in AJ Preller. He believes in what he's doing, and he believes he's a man to turn it around. Now, if you look at the last 9 years since 2014, Preller's been on the job. One winning season, one winning full season outside of the COVID season. So the numbers say elsewhere or say different, but I don't know if he's going elsewhere. That would have to take a complete change of Peter Seidler, of what he believes in. Keep in mind, he works closely with AJ Preller. This isn't just a guy. Seidler doesn't just fly in and see Preller, like work the draft room and he's like, this guy's a magician, like he works with him. He believes in him. It would take a complete 180 on Seidler to fire Preller. And as we referenced earlier in the show, I almost said season, firing Preller is a full reset on the organization. Are you really going to do a reset on the organization when you made basically all-in moves for this group and this roster? I have a hard time believing that Peter Seidler is going to do that at this point of the Padres.
I would tend to agree with that, but at some point, enough has to be enough. And at some point, you have to stop saying, well, just one more year.
Yeah, like what will it is a fair point. Like, what does it take? Does it take 2024?
Like, if
not reaching the postseason?
Yeah, is it going to take another year like this? Like
right.
What is it going to take to reach that breaking point? And I used the analogy last night on the wrap-up show. Peter Seidler, I don't know if he has what it takes to execute Order 66.
Yeah, this made no sense to me, Brian. He started talking about like Star Trek or Star Wars or Jurassic Park.
Oh, I'm out, dude. Anything science fiction or like superhero,
it made no sense. We spent like an hour talking baseball, and then he's like, remember like when the lightsabers crashed? I'm like, what are you talking about? It's like episode 11. Dude. I'm like, I gotta
go. Actually, we're gonna cut this short, dude.
But you're trying to say like this move takes like you got to just do it. You just got to cut bait at some point.
You got to rip that Band-Aid off. You can't be scared to make a move. You can't be scared to do what must be done. You need to realize that if you continue down this path, you might get a couple years like last year. I mean, last year's looking like more like an outlier than anything. And you might get lucky a couple years, right? Hey, you might go to a World Series. But all in all, if Peter Seidler wants what he keeps preaching, which is consistency, you're getting the complete opposite of that with AJ Preller at the helm. You are getting the most inconsistent team every single year. You have no idea what you're getting. It could be a disaster of a season. It could be an epic collapse of a season, or it could be maybe an NLCS run. I don't think that's a smart way to run a business, is to go into years hoping things will be better.
Todd Strain's with us from NBC7. By the way, Kyle Glaser, Baseball America, will join us in about 10 minutes. We'll get into the Aztecs as well. Cody Moon, linebacker for San Diego State, transfer from New Mexico. He'll join us in the 5 o'clock hour. Todd, before you go, San Diego State, we said all week, it was an important game because you looked at their schedule and they had UCLA and Oregon State and Boise State and Air Force still to come. Sure, it's week one. It's not like their season would be over if they lost it. It's not like they made their season by winning it. But what did you make of San Diego State finding a way on Saturday in week 0 against Ohio?
I think it was a huge win because remember, this is an offense that is still building. Ryan Lindley's relatively new to the program. Jaden Maiden came over from defense, although he played last year. He didn't play a whole lot, so he had an off-season camp. So to get the win, get the positive vibes, and then show some nice things as the game went on offensively, I thought it was huge. Ohio, most people think, Ohio, who are the Bobcats? Who's this MAC team? They're pretty good. So to get that win and build, because if that offense can build, they're not going to come out week 1 and light up 40 points, but maybe they can build and become a little more consistent and explosive each week. So I thought this was a great victory and a good step, and one that was really necessary after the disappointing start last season.
Jim, what'd you make of your first Aztec sporting event?
I went to plenty games last year.
I'm kidding.
I've been to plenty of Aztec basketball games, so you can't even pull that on me at all.
I'm just kidding. No, Jim, honestly, maybe Jim's good luck. Jim was on pregame. Jim was on social media.
Yeah, but I've been to...
Oh, but Jim did jinx it almost, Todd. He texted me. It's 20-6. He's like, man, this is a good one to get. I'm like, dude, they have the ball. They have 2 timeouts. This game is not over. Guess what happens? Ohio gets the ball back. They're 30 yards away from tying the game up with 11 seconds left. And Jim was freaking out.
Well, that should have been a pick six, 100-plus
No,
yards.
that's true.
That
That's
should
true.
have been a pick six. So in my defense, that was a horrible call by the referee. Thank God they won that game because
my gosh.
we would have come in today, Todd, and I
would have killed Jim.
I would not have survived this show.
Let me ask you both this. If Ohio would have scored on the final drive, would they have gone for 2?
That's funny you say that because I was thinking that.
Yeah. Like house money. You're on the road. It's non-conference.
Yeah.
You know,
it's one of those things like you got the momentum, you're rolling, you're on the road. Let's win it right here. Or you say, hey, we just came from 14 down in a blink of an eye in the last few minutes. Let's extend this game.
Right.
I think they would have pushed it to overtime. And let me tell you, that would have been the most San Diego game ever. Like I was nervous there.
I was nervous at the end. Todd, this was fun. Appreciate you doing it today.
Thanks, Todd.
Sure thing, man. Hey, you guys can all watch this NBC San Diego News Channel tonight. 9 p.m. it airs for the first time, streaming on Roku. Check it out, everybody.
Yep, NBC7's Roku channel tonight, as Todd said, at 9 p.m. Todd Strain from NBC7. On the other side, Kyle Glaser, Baseball America. What does he make of this mess? Just underway, John and Jim. Stay with us on San Diego Sports 760. All right, Kyle Glaser, Baseball America, with his thoughts on how it went so sideways for the Padres in 2023. He'll join us next.
All right, this update is brought to you by Staples Stores. We'll start with the Aztecs because they actually are winners this past weekend against Ohio. They won 20-13 in the home opener at Snapdragon Stadium. Next up for the Aztecs, they'll take on Idaho State this Saturday, also at Snapdragon Stadium, 7:30 kick. Our pregame coverage starts at 5:30 right here on San Diego Sports 760. Padres news of the day. Yu Darvish has gone on the 15-day IL. Matt Waldron has been recalled from the minors, and playoffs. Yeah, stop talking about those because they got swept by the Brewers this past weekend. They're 61-70 on the year. They're just playing out the schedule now. One of those games is tonight, 4:45, at St. Louis versus the Cardinals. And this update has been brought to you by Staples.
All right, we have great giveaways today. 50-cent tickets for Thursday night. We'll give those away. Trainwreck Radio. We have Weezer tickets to give away. We'll do that as well. Again, San Diego State linebacker Cody Moon, his first game as an Aztec. He was named Mountain West Defensive Player of the Week in the league. He'll join us coming up in the 5 p.m. hour. It's great to have Kyle Glaser back with us. San Diego Sports 760. John and Jim, Kyle Glaser of Baseball America. Really as good of a resource as you're going to find on Major League Baseball, and the San Diego Padres back with us here on 760. So, Kyle, we appreciate it. I'll just start it with this open-ended generic question, and you can take it where you want. How did it go so sideways for the Padres this year?
Well, it's never just one thing, right? You have a combination of factors. First and foremost, the stars did not perform to their peak level. And secondly, and we knew this coming in, the bottom of the lineup was not particularly strong. You had some very serious lineup holes. They were depending on their big four, and you can argue, maybe a fifth or sixth guy in there really stepping up and playing to their peak and hoping that would overshadow the fact that the bottom three in their lineup probably weren't going to be very good. And that didn't happen. At the end of the day, in Major League Baseball, you have to have threats 1 through 9 in the order. And the Padres just didn't have that. So that's first and foremost right there. Is the offense. We also saw the bullpen. There were some questions coming into the season about the bridge from the rotation of Brad Hand, especially with some injuries to guys like Robert Suarez and Drew Pomeranz. And those turned out to be real issues. The Padres have lost a lot of close games. And it's not because of bad luck. It's because some of their bullpen arms and middle relief were just not good enough to get the job done. So those are the two big things. You have some other factors, but those were two issues coming into the season. They did not properly address them in the offseason, and they're paying the price for it now.
And you mentioned there not addressing those needs in the offseason. We've talked to you multiple times in the last year plus, even last year's like this team needs offensive upgrades. One player just isn't going to do it. You've mentioned multiple times with us the upgrades that this team needs that they have not addressed. So with that being said, the person that makes these upgrades or is in charge of these upgrades that is desperately needed for this team is AJ Preller. And for you, Kyle, how do you feel AJ Preller in the last, 4 years here, right? How do you think he has performed as general manager, and how much blame do you put on him for this mess?
Look, the fact of the matter is the Padres, assuming the season goes the way it's going right now, will have had 2 winning seasons in 9 years under AJ Preller. And one of those was the shortened 2020 season. Now, even if you throw out, 3-4 years that were a clear rebuild, 2 winning seasons in 6 years or so of actually trying is not a great track record. He's had 5 different managers. He's had more than 30 different coaches. And the one constant is AJ Preller. And the concern is they keep making the same mistakes. You go back to that 2015 team, they loaded up with Matt Kemp and Justin Upton and James Shields and Derek Norris, but they still went into the season with Alexi Amarisa as their starting shortstop, no backup catcher, and no starting pitching depth. And we see them make the same mistakes again and again and again. You look at this team where, they had a lot of stars at the top, but Trent Grisham is not an everyday center fielder in Major League Baseball. They did not have a lot of catching depth, and it really cost them early. Jake Cronenworth was out of position. That's another issue with AJ Preller teams. A lot of guys playing out of positions where it just does not profile offensively or defensively. And I think that's the concerning thing. It's not a case where you see growth and you learn from the mistakes. They're making the same mistakes they made 7-8 years ago. And at the end of the day, again, 2 winning seasons in 9 years is not a great track record.
Kyle Glaser from Baseball America is with us right now on John and Jim. Just looking ahead to 2024, what type of fixes are available with so much of this core tied up and so much salary already in place for next season? I mean, what type of overhaul, if any, is possible?
Well, I keep saying it's going to be tough given the Padres' payroll commitments, but we keep seeing they're willing to spend untold amounts of money to go get players that they think can help them. So, I mean, look, obviously you have Shohei Ohtani, but that's going to be a very, very expensive salary to pay, especially when you look at the Padres and what they need. I think one of the interesting things we'll be seeing is if they go over starting pitching. Julio Urias is a free agent at the end of this year. I mean, so is Max Scherzer, but obviously he's a little bit older. Aaron Nola is a free agent at the end of this year. And we know the Padres are very, very active in Asia. There's 2 really good players who should be coming over. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, a really good Japanese pitcher, and Jung-Hoo Lee, a center fielder out of Korea. So I think there's no question the Padres probably need to go after some pitching, especially given Blake Snell's due to be a free agent. And I'll be curious to see how aggressive they are in going after Jung-Hoo Lee, the center fielder from Korea, just because they really need a center fielder who's a real everyday caliber player. And Trent Grisham is just not that guy.
Yeah, it's for whatever reason, Trent Grisham, has still remained the starting center fielder of this team and in the lineup every single day. Kyle, your specialty is in the minor leagues, and this minor league system right now is back in the top 10 of minor league baseball rankings. And, do you think, and the expression is a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while. I would attest, if this group would happen to come up and do anything, I view that as more of a luck thing than an actual, knowing what they're doing thing. Do you believe that this could be the group, Kyle, that AJ Preller has assembled in the minors that could actually make some sort of difference at the major league level in the future?
It has a chance to be, but I think, again, people need to remember a lot of the players the Padres have drafted under AJ Preller have been successful in the majors. They were just traded before they got a chance to make the impact for the Padres.
Mm-hmm.
You look at Ty France, you look at Cal Quantrill, you look at Andres Munoz, you look at David Bednar. By any measure, whether you measure the number of players who have reached the big leagues or the WAR they've produced, Padres have drafted and developed plenty fine under AJ Preller. It's been the fact that they trade them, and a lot of those guys they've traded go on to have success other places. You look at the Mike Clevenger trade with Cleveland, that was a disaster. You look at the Mariners trade again, Ty France, Andres Munoz for Austin Knoll, that's a disaster. Amateur talent evaluation is not the Padres' problem. It's amateur talent evaluation and major league roster construction are 2 completely different skill sets. AJ Preller and his staff have always had the former. They have always faced questions whether or not they have the latter. And again, 2 winning records in 9 years is not a great track record where you can say, yeah, they do have the latter. That the facts are just there in the records.
And staying on the minor leagues, Kyle, something that we haven't talked to you about in a while, and it happened while you were gone. Ethan Salas got promoted to Double-A. At his age, do you think that was the right move?
No, I watched a lot of Ethan Salas at Lake Elsinore this year. He is a fantastic player. For him to be as young as he is, to be as composed as he is, to be as poised as he is, to be as skilled as he is truly, truly special. But he's also the age of a high school sophomore going into his high school junior year, and he is physically nowhere near ready for that level. He caught back-to-back games only twice his entire time at Lake Elsinore. A lot of games he was pulled after catching only 6-7 innings, didn't make it through 9 innings. Again, he's incredibly talented, but he's just turned 17 years old, and the physicality needed to withstand the mental and physical grind of catching every day while still being a productive hitter, that takes time, that takes reps, and the Padres are rushing it. And we talk about the Padres and their amateur talent evaluation. Mackenzie Gore is doing okay in Washington. C.J. Abrams and Luis Coutinho were grossly rushed. I mean, the Padres have had a really bad track record of rushing guys and not getting the best of them. Ethan Salas is a supreme talent. You hope the Padres have learned their lesson and don't rush him and let him develop and marinate and come up when he's ready. But again, the way they're moving him right now says they haven't learned that lesson, and it goes back to continuing to repeat the mistakes of the past.
Yeah, it's like, what's the hurry? 300 plate appearances in the minor leagues. I mean, what is the hurry? He's not going to save you in 2024. He's not going to save you in 2025, even if his future is bright. Kyle Glaser from Baseball America is with us right now on John and Jim. Kyle, how much of an indictment is the fact that you make this, transcendent generational trade for Juan Soto, and then a year later you have the same record as the team you traded with?
Again, it goes back to poor Major League roster construction. The issues we talked about. I remember coming out with you guys in the offseason, and people were asking, should the Padres go get Trey Turner? Should they go get Aaron Judge? And I said, no, they need starting pitching depth. They need a real first baseman, and they need some bullpen help. And instead, they went and signed Xander Bogaerts, who's a great player, but he's not what they needed. Again, I think it just comes down to this is a team that, again, the Juan Soto trade has been okay. He's been productive after a slow start. He's been really, really good this year. But you need to build a team of 1 to 25, and the Padres continually do not do that under AJ Preller.
If they happen to let go of Bob Melvin, which seems like a real possibility at this point in time, no matter what Bob Melvin says about how he maybe feels like he wants to return or not, what would you think of that move if that were to happen?
I don't think it would solve anything. I mean, there's certainly times where you can question some of Bob Melvin's moves dating back to the last year's postseason. You can do that with every manager. This is a guy who's a renowned baseball mind. He's great at dealing with the clubhouse, who has had success everywhere he's been. This is not a reflection of Bob Melvin. Again, Padres have had 5 different managers under AJ Preller. I guess 4 if you want to exclude interim managers.
Right.
And
Dave Roberts for one game.
Right. And more than 30 coaches. They're not, the constant is in the front office. It's not in the dugout. Different people, same result. This is not on Bob Melvin.
No, I mean, again, and if all of a sudden you bring in Ryan Flaherty, I mean, he's already here. I mean, everything's going to change because it's crazy to think everything changes with a different manager. Kyle, we always appreciate it. Great insight. We'll see what happens here in September. We'll do it again when we get close to the end of the season or in the offseason. So thank you as always for your time.
Yeah, my pleasure. Anytime, guys.
All right, Kyle Glaser from Baseball America will react to that. On the other side, is that good? The best and worst of the sports weekend here in San Diego. Still ahead, Cody Moon, San Diego State transfer linebacker. He'll join us in the 5 o'clock hour. We have tickets to see 50 Cent and Weezer to give away on today's show as well. Do not go anywhere. It's John and Jim. All right, I've never seen Jim prepare for anything in his life. He's prepared an AJ Preller resume that he is very excited to share. He will do it at 4 p.m. Is that good? The best and worst of the sports weekend is next. All right, Jim doesn't want me to do this, so I'm going to do it. So
I'm going to throw this at
in
you.
the before the
I'm
show,
going to throw this at you.
Before the show, he's like, "Let me just go off."
That's what I said.
In the 4 o'clock hour on Preller.
Here's what I said. I did say that. I did say that.
So I'm like, yeah, it's fine. I'm like, and I'll leave if you want. You can have the entire segment.
Like, just give me.
I will literally leave.
Like, let me cook. Just give me the floor.
Yeah, I'll leave.
Let
How
me
about
do
this? You can have the full 23 minutes.
Let me. No, I don't want.
I'll get food.
No, don't.
I might go to 7-Eleven.
Don't do that.
I'll check email.
No, don't do that.
And then let me know when you're done. So you told me that before the show. I'm like, yeah, no problem. And then you told me that the first break, and then this break, you're like, hey, make sure to tease that like I'm going off on Preller at 4 p.m. I'm like, okay, like don't go anywhere. Stay in your garage, but turn your car off.
Way to really just, hey, make sure everyone listen to our show, guys.
What do you mean? That's good.
That's what you literally just said. Don't go anywhere, everybody. Don't turn your car off.
I'm just saying they're here for the show.
And by the way, if you are trying to listen to us today
I don't even know if you can
on the radio, and it keeps going in and out on you, and you got like annoyed with it, there are multiple ways to view us and listen to us. So iHeartRadio app, very easy, very simple. Also, we are on YouTube every day.
Yep.
Almost every day. We'll see what happens when I leave.
Oh, that's right.
This weekend.
Great.
And next week.
Show.
Yeah. But we are on YouTube today.
How long are you away? Does anyone know that you're away? Have you does anyone know you're away?
Yes.
Brian, did you know that Jim was away?
No.
Thank you.
I submitted my request for time off like 3 weeks ago.
Okay. I know. So I guess it's fine. How are we supposed to do the sports wrap next Monday?
We don't work next Monday. It's Labor Day.
Let's see, I got you. No, you got me.
I got you.
Okay, real quick before we get to Is That Good? This is an all-time slight. Speaking of let someone cook. And I'm only going to do it for 30 seconds.
You are so mad about this today.
The Athletic puts out a preseason top 25 today in men's basketball and does not include San Diego State. Give me a freaking break. Give me a freaking break. I looked at this thing 3 times, And you're not going to give San Diego State, off a 32-7 season, returning 3 of its top 4 scores that play in the national championship game, the benefit of the doubt. You got like 11 other publications that have San Diego State inside the top 20, but The Athletic doesn't have them as a top 25 preseason team. Why? And then one of the writers followed up like in the comments on The Athletic. Well, I'm really concerned about their interior defense. Yeah, because don't give San Diego State the benefit of the doubt with their defense. Yeah, because they've really struggled defensively. I'm sure they won't be able to figure it out. Not preseason, but FAU's top 10. FAU, give them the benefit of the doubt. But San Diego State, no. Top 25 preseason? Of course not. Only finished second in the nation. Embarrassing. Let's get to it.
You're done?
Well, you're going to go off for like an hour.
All right, I'll start. The Aztecs in their 20-13 win over Ohio. I think one of the biggest question marks going into this game, John, we talked about it in the pregame show, was how is this new look defense with so many new pieces, especially on the defensive line? How are they going to look? Well, it looks really good. They knocked out the Ohio quarterback, and their backup came in. They got 3 interceptions, should have been 4.
Yep.
But 3 interceptions, held them to 13 points. Really should have only been 6 points on the day, 2 field goals. They made a crucial 3rd down stop at the goal line early in the game. I thought the defense played as well as you could have hoped for the opening of the season with so many new players. Brent, is that good?
It is good!
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and I'll actually follow up with a San Diego State note as well. And it's on Mark Redmond, the tight end, who had 2 touchdowns as a tight end. He's just the 3rd Aztec tight end since at least 1996. One of the others is the late Gavin Escobar to have 2 or more receiving touchdowns in a game. The other, Kahali Waring at Nevada in 2018.
I like that name.
So Mark Redmond, 5 catches. What did I say? One of my bold predictions, 50 catches for Mark Redmond. 5 catches, 62 yards, 2 TDs for the Aztecs. Is that good?
It is good!
Next up, I don't know if you saw it over the weekend. Messi, once again, in his MLS debut, like they were playing in a different type of tournament to start, but this was his official first game in the MLS.
Even though he's played like 16 games.
Right. But this was the first one that counted towards MLS record. I think it did. I don't know. But anyway, he had one of the most insane, and not he, but their team had one of the most insane goals you will ever see. Even I was like, whoa, dude, he had a pass that like, I can't even explain it because it was so good. But Messi, once again, scores another goal for Inter Miami, has like 11 or 12 on the season. Inter Miami is like the greatest team ever. Pretty good success.
Are you asking if Messi is good?
I'm asking, yes, is Messi good?
Is Messi good?
Is Messi good?
He doesn't know, but he is. All right, I'm going to concentrate on the Padres here. This weekend in Milwaukee, listen to this. The Padres batters struck out 40 times. It's the most they've struck out in a 3-game series since April of 2021. You're talking about hundreds upon hundreds of games between a 40 strikeout series for the Padres. Is that good? No, it's bad.
Very bad, very bad. And finally, staying with the Padres, they went 1 for 23 with runners in scoring position this weekend.
So they had a hit.
0 for 12 yesterday.
But they had a hit.
Is that good?
An awesome hit.
Is that good, Brent?
What was the hit? It was probably like a bunt.
I have no idea, and frankly, I don't care.
Well, how about this? In their last 20 games, to kind of further go down that path, they are 6-14. But it's not 2019, right? It's not 2021. They're 6-14 in their last 20 games. As a team, for 20 games, they've hit 215. Is that good? As a team.
The team.
Since, remember that they pulled to within a game of 500 against the Dodgers, and then they're just like, we're good.
We're fine.
That was our season.
Yeah.
We came back to win against the Dodgers. Season over. We're
good
55
job.
and 56.
Good job. Good effort. At least we tried.
All right. You will not want to go anywhere. Jim's going to murder me. Jim has written words, okay, to prepare for something.
Written words.
It's on AJ Preller. Real words. I could screenshot it if you wanted to see it. Jim Russell on AJ Preller, a defensive, not Preller, the opposite of that. Okay. So hour 2 of John and Jim. Jim's about to go off on AJ Preller. Still ahead, Cody Moon, San Diego State linebacker. Also in the 4 o'clock hour, your chance to win tickets to see 50 Cent. This Thursday night, 5 o'clock hour, we'll give away tickets to see Weezer. Hour 2, do not go anywhere. You're not going to want to miss this. I promise. It's next.
Unleash the fury!
All right, this update is brought to you by Staples Stores. Aztecs got off to a good start as they won their home opener this past Saturday, 20-13 over Ohio. Defense came up huge with 3 takeaways. Jalen Maiden threw for two touchdowns, both to Mark Redmond. Next up for the Aztecs, they take on Idaho State this Saturday at Snapdragon Stadium, 7:30 kick. Our pregame coverage starts at 5:30 right here on San Diego Sports 760. The Padres, they got swept by the Brewers. They're 61-70. Nobody cares about the wild card standings anymore. Even Bob Melvin said so as much over the weekend. There's 30 games remaining in the season. They take on the St. Louis Cardinals tonight, 4:45 first pitch there. And this update's been brought to you by Staples.
Getting close to that time. Yep, that time. Quitting time. And there's only one way to handle that drive home. John Schaefer and Jim Russell. A nice start for Brady Hoke and the Scarlet and Black. And Uncle Ted.
Second and goal from the 4. Jalen back throw. Back to the end zone. Touchdown, Aztecs.
Meanwhile, the soap opera continued out in Milwaukee.
The Padres have been swept in Milwaukee in a 3-game series.
Should we still have hope? Time to break it all down. Now it's time for John and Jim.
No.
Hey, big voice guy.
San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? Hour 2 of John and Jim. We're with you on San Diego Sports 760. There have been some transmitter issues today. If you're experiencing those, you can join us on the iHeartRadio app, also on YouTube by searching for John and Jim 760. We're with you until 6 o'clock. San Diego State linebacker Cody Moon, Defensive Player of the Week in the Mountain West in his Aztec debut with 12 tackles, will join us coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. This hour, your chance to win 50-cent tickets. That's Thursday night. Tickets and info at Ticketmaster.com, or keep listening for your chance to win. Also, a pair of tickets to see Weezer at Gallagher Square. September 3rd, we'll give those away in the 5 o'clock hour. Tickets and info at Ticketmaster.com, or keep listening again for your chance to win. This is when I stop talking. Okay. Jim has, for whatever, he's like, just let me go. He doesn't, he just wants to do himself. He doesn't want this to be John and Jim. He wants to do his own thing. So Jim, I have nothing to say. Whatever you want to do, you do.
Okay. So, this is a disaster. And there's a lot of people I think out there that think, hey, just run it back. Run it back with AJ Preller. It's fine. Right. They made the NLCS last year. It's fine. Okay. I'm going to give you the resume of AJ Preller since he was officially hired in 2015. And if you're out there listening or watching us on YouTube, after I give the full resume of AJ Preller, I want you to answer me this. Do you think he still should be the general manager? All right.
Okay. I'm excited.
AJ Preller was officially hired by the Padres at the end of the 2014 season. 2015 was his first official year as the general manager. We know that AJ Preller made a boatload of trades to try to win now with the Matt Kemps of the world, the James Shields, Justin Upton, Craig Kimbrells, Will Myers.
Really
that didn't work out. Okay. Here's the resume starting from 2015. 9 full seasons. Well, almost 9. Once this season will end, it will be 9 full seasons for AJ Preller. 7 of those have been losing seasons. He has had 1 playoff appearance in a regular full 162 game year. He has had 2 real playoff series wins in 9 years as general manager. He has gone through 4 different managers. That he is on his 4th right now. He has had 0 division titles, 0 90-win seasons, 1 full season over 500, 0 players drafted that have become all-stars with the Padres, $250 million in payroll this year. The team will finish under 500 once again. Not trading Justin Upton, Blake Snell, and Josh Hader in years when clearly the move was to sell. Instead, he went for false hope. 30 different coaches have been in and out of this organization at one time or another. 2020, the trades of 2020. Do we have to go over those because those were a disaster as well?
And the Nolas and the whatevers. Yep.
Being suspended in 2016 by Major League Baseball for hiding injury information from competitors that gave the team an advantage in trade talks. The 2021 collapse, the 2019 failure, and of course the 2023 disaster of a year. Now, with all that being said,
other than that, though,
With all that being said, I will retort and say that there has been some good. Okay. There has been some good. NLCS run was good. Signing Manny Machado in 2019 was good. Trading away James Shields and getting Fernando Tatis Jr. in that trade, that was good. I think you could argue that the Juan Soto trade was good, but it's still a giant TBD. Okay. Signing Ha-Seong Kim, I think, was good. Making a trade for Joe Musgrove, I think, was good. But that doesn't even outweigh at any point of the 9 years of what AJ Preller has done with this organization. So I ask you, after all of that, the good and the bad, I just didn't go full bad. I threw in the good in there as well. After all of that, that is the resume of AJ Preller as the general manager and president of baseball operations with the San Diego Padres. I ask you this. Does that warrant AJ Preller to be back next year for the Padres?
844-570-1360, 70470, start it with team, 844-570-1360. Let me say this. The Padres in the history of the franchise have been to the National League Championship Series how many times? Help me count.
3.
Okay, so 3, right? Was one of those times within the last 12 months?
It was.
The Padres have been to the postseason how many times in the history of the franchise?
Ooh, off the top of my
It's
head.
not a big number.
85, 96, 98.
84, 96, 98, what, twice in the 20?
06, 05, 06.
Okay, whatever, 7 times.
Yes,
right?
I think 7 times. Yeah.
2 of those in the last 3 years, right? Coming in?
Yeah.
And here's the other thing. AJ Preller was the GM in 2019. They collapsed, right?
Mm-hmm.
AJ Preller was the GM in 2021. They collapsed, right?
Mm-hmm.
AJ Preller is the GM now, right? And they've collapsed.
Mm-hmm.
But he returned for 2020 and 2022.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be back in 2024.
Oh, no, I am not saying that he won't be back. I am not like making this claim that he won't be back.
Right.
I believe
you're just saying that the track record is fireable.
100%. That and I probably missed some stuff in there.
Oh no, like, definitely. Eric Hosmer.
Yeah. The international signing class, which was the Morejon Patino. Yep. I mean,
none of that's left. Yeah.
The most money ever spent in international signings. Trading away the amount of players that they have. Now they brought some good pieces back, but just it doesn't outweigh anything. And so yeah, I missed some things here and there, but the overall resume of Preller is if I were to show that to anybody, you'd be like, yeah, it's a fireball fan. That's that. Why is that person still in charge of things? How is that person still in charge of things?
I think people are going to agree with you, but let's see what people have to say on the phones. AJ Preller, does he warrant returning in 2024 based on the 9-year track record or not? 844-570-1360. Tons of people want to weigh in. Let's start on line 5 with David. David, you're on with John and Jim, and thanks for calling in.
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for all you do. Love the passion for our teams, especially you with defending the Aztecs when they don't get any respect. I was hearing that earlier. That was kind of ridiculous that they weren't in the Athletics top 25. But anyways, on the topic at hand about Preller, I'm going to go ahead and say very simply, no. And I love what Jim did, mentioning the good and the bad to keep it fair. But overall, bottom line, 9 years, and we have one season of even moderate success, and that would be last year. And just getting to the playoffs to the perfect storm of minimal injuries, basically nobody having a down year, some guys overperforming and having career years. And then when we got to the playoffs, got lucky we faced a Mets team we matched up well against that stumbled down the stretch. And then quite honestly caught lightning in a bottle against the Dodgers. And then immediately the Magic Grand.
David, you're cutting out. Good call. Yeah, he's saying he agrees with you.
Mm-hmm.
Vito, 844-570-1360. Preller, based on the track record, stay or go for 2024. Jim laid it out there. Vito, you're on with John and Jim.
Hey guys. I agree with Jim 100%. I just don't see how you could look at the track record, look at this season, and think rationally and say he deserves another season. you've had more collapses than successful seasons. It's like changing your tires when your engine's on fire. If you change your tires 4 times, the car still isn't going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
So I just don't see what giving them another year would do. You're hoping that, you're going to tear it down if you bring in a new GM. Well, it hasn't worked anyway. So what does it matter? Anyway, that's all I got, guys.
Thanks, Vito.
Appreciate it, man. This sentiment that they should potentially just run it back. Run it back from what? Run it back from this disaster?
What is it? But let's say they don't. Let's just say Preller's gone. Let's go down that path. There's a new GM. What are you optimistic about 2024?
Dude, no matter what, I'm not optimistic. I'm
now,
just
again,
not.
you can put that on Preller, obviously.
And I said this to start the show today, is that I don't know if Peter Seidler has...
Would you call it the Route 66 to get rid of him or something?
No, the ruthlessness that is needed to be done here to change course. I don't know if he's going to do it. I don't know if he has it in him, unfortunately. And for Peter Seidler to open up the checkbook and open up his pockets and give AJ Preller not essentially a blank checkbook, but I mean, $250 million. Like, come on, man. If you can't build a winning roster with $250 million, you got problems. And you might say, what about the Mets? Well,
yeah.
Steve Cohen runs laps around Peter Seidler as far as wealth goes. I am concerned because this did not work out this year with the Padres, that this will never happen again, ever.
Well, I don't think it'll be a never, because they got like 180 tied up already for next year, which will put them in the top 10.
Well,
so they're going to be close. I mean, they could cut payroll, but they're not going to cut a lot of payroll because 80% of his payroll is coming back.
And even the Mets, who are in the same spot, they threw the white flag up and they said, yeah, this ain't working. We're not going to go off of any false hope. And they made a decision that I don't know if it's going to work out for them, but they said they're cutting ties on this year. They're not going with any false hope. They're not making fake trades to try to appease the fan base, to whatever the case may be. They're cutting their losses and they're starting over.
Yeah, but that might be more a reflection of ownership than general managers.
True.
That's Steve Cohen's decision. Peter Seidler may very well be behind this idea of, you are not selling off. We're going to draw 3 million fans. If you sell off now and give that to this fan base, then we're not going to draw the final 2 months of the year, or we owe the fan base to see it through, even if we can't reach the postseason this year.
And to be quite honest, I do believe that AJ Preller will be back. Do I think it's the right move? No. But the window to make this change has flown by. 2021 was the move. That was the time that it needed to happen. And if it didn't happen then, you're probably looking at like, it's not going to happen for a while. But also, like, what else needs to happen to this team for a move to be made?
Yeah, but if you say, okay, I'll play devil's advocate. It's so easy to play devil's advocate on that. Like, if you don't do it in 2021, when would you do it? Well, in 2022, they were in the National League Championship Series.
And in 2023, look what happened.
Yeah, I get it, but we're erasing last year's team as if it has absolutely no value to his credentials. Because if he returned, you're like, the time to do is off 2021, but was it? Because in 2022 they were good.
After 2021, Preller could not have this. It couldn't happen again. I said it as much. You had that one shot. You could not let a collapse of that proportion happen again after the 2021 season.
And then they got to the NLCS.
And then 2023 happened again.
Yeah, but you're discounting 2022.
I am looking at 2022 now more as an outlier season than a season which I frankly think they're going to look at as, well, we still can do that. Like, everything's going to be fine because we went to the NLCS last year.
By the way, top 3 payrolls in baseball will all miss the postseason. Not just the Padres. Mets, Yankees, Padres will all miss the postseason. 844-570-1360. Let's go back to the phones and Dan. Let's go to Dan. Dan, you're on with John and Jim, and thanks for calling in.
Hey guys, yeah, just back to your point regarding John, regarding about running it back next year, kind of with a similar setup, obviously, similar management in place, but mostly for me, we're kind of running it back with the same players in place. Like you said, there's already a lot of money tied up in there. But to me, what is going to change and what is going to be different? If we look at 2022, it was amazing. You beat the Dodgers, you unseated them. It was an amazing season. But truly, it was a team that kind of caught lightning in a bottle. They still had a lot of holes, and they weren't that good of a team. You look at 2021, it was a team that we thought was great and then totally fell off. And then this year, it's probably the most disappointing of all. So to me, it always, it seems like, hey, if we, have this nucleus together, they're bound to make it happen. This year you can say there was some bad luck and a couple badly timed injuries, whatever. But to me, in reality, Preller as a whole has failed to put really a competitive roster together year in and year out. So if you do run it back next year, you're running back a, maybe 80-ish win team. I that might sell seats and it might sell tickets because of the players you have, but it's probably not going to win games.
Dan, we appreciate it. Thanks for the call. All right, people agree. Listen, the team is at its lowest point of the entire year. The team is destined to fail. The team has been an abject failure. So that's all accurate and true. But I don't remember anyone saying, we didn't have the conversation in 2022 about AJ Preller being GM of the year. You know what I mean? Like, it's easy now to do this, but 2022 did happen.
It did happen, but with the caveat of thinking and hoping, okay, there has been finally some type of learning from mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
There is a turning of the page. There is a turning of the corner. 2021 and 2019 and 2015, those aren't going to happen again.
Sure.
We have finally turned that corner. And they didn't, because now it's 2023 and baseball seasons don't stop after 1 year of making an LCS. You have to move forward. And by moving forward, they have gone back to their old ways. Nothing's changed.
844-570-1360. Dave, thanks for calling in. You're on with John and Jim.
Hey, thanks for having us again, guys, and thanks for having this conversation. It needs to be heard. And Jim, thank you for having the courage to stand up and say what's right. Fans know this. We guys back you said real quick on your own wrap-up show, which I love. You guys suggested that if at the trade deadline, did we have any faith that AJ should be in charge of making the moves? And we all said no. You said it. We said it. Then you said, I think it was either Jim. I think Jim said this. Said, if AJ fails the rest of this year and the owner does not remove him, then we have an ownership problem. That's what Jim said. And Jim, you're right on target. So Peter is not above criticism until he steps outside, looks what his fan base is saying, look at what everybody on the outside is saying. And if he is going to be that stubborn and hard-headed, he deserves what he gets in the end, which is going to be a whole lot of nothing, because, Jim, you pointed the record, and the record speaks volumes. Any general manager could have done the little things that AJ has done on the flip side of the positive. It's the bigger picture things over an extended period of time in which every time you turn around, it ends up in some type of calamity, and that is unacceptable. No other general manager, maybe it's with the exception of Cashman, because he's been to the World Series, can get away with this and still have a job. And you couldn't do that on your job, right? And still have.
Dave, thank you. Even the White Sox got rid of Kenny Williams, who hadn't won in 20 years, but they did get rid of him earlier today. Listen, I understand it. I agree with the sentiments. It's been a complete failure of a year. I think we all agree he will be back in 2024. And I stand by what I've said repeatedly, which is I don't think it's that good of a job. And maybe that's because of AJ Preller or because of the money they've just committed to this team moving forward. I think if you switch GMs for 2024, you're asking for someone to come in and say, this is going to take a little bit of time. And you're basically saying, hey, 2024 and 2025, we're going to have to figure this thing out to get it right in the future. It's like you got the $250 million in payroll. Are you really prepared to go into 2024 with the idea of, hey, there's a little bit of a teardown here, or this is going to take a little bit of time? And who's to say the next GM is better?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if the next GM is going to be better or not. But what I do know is the GM right now is not good. That's what I do know. So that if you're gonna just say, well, who knows if the next guy's gonna be better? Well, I don't know. You don't know. I don't know. Brent doesn't know. Every single fan doesn't know. But what every fan knows is that the guy in charge right now is not great. And Dennis wrote about this today, and this line in his article, it's just eye popping. Okay, he said since the start of 2015, only 5 franchises have recorded fewer than 2 seasons of 81 plus wins. In that span, 4 of those organizations have replaced their head of baseball operations at least one time. The Padres, who hired Preller in August of 2014, are the outlier of the group.
Yeah, I mean, I don't listen to me. That who cares if they won 81 games? That's like to say they'll change the narrative if they win 81 games this year, or if they won 81 games in 2021 when they won 79. What does that mean? So they won 81 games, so he should be back or he should be gone because they won 80. Who cares?
What that says
this team's
there,
a failure if they win 81 games this year.
What that says there, John, is not that they didn't win 81 games.
That's what it says.
It's that they are every single year a losing franchise.
They went 79 and 83 in 2019 or 2021, and we pretend like they would have been good if they went 81 and 81, and that would have changed something.
Look, you have gone now of the 9 years you have that he has been the general manager of this team. 7 of those years have been what? A waste. The big league club is all that matters. And you can talk about his success with drafting players and then trading them away, and then they do well in other organizations. I would tend to view that as the other organizations unlocking things that the Padres couldn't, but that's my opinion. Not having any winning seasons. And I know your argument. Well,
if you would have had 5?
If they won 83, they won 83 games in 4 seasons,
right,
and they didn't make the postseason those 4 years. What does that mean?
Right.
But I feel like being saying the same thing is that, hey, AJ Preller in 9 years has made the postseason one time.
Well, no, you can't do that because then you have to say 8 years. Because if you're not going to give them the second postseason year, then you have to take the year off.
Okay, fine. I'll say 8 years. 8 years and 8 full seasons. The general manager, they've made the postseason one time,
which is about, by the way, par for the course for the franchise. 844-570-1360. Let's sneak in Ian. Ian, you're on with John and Jim.
Hey there. Thanks for taking my call.
Yeah.
Just wanted to say that, I mean, yeah, the answer is pretty clear. AJ Preller does not deserve his job whatsoever. I mean, even if you look at the way how this roster has been made for this season, I mean, the bullpen is a joke right now. I mean, you're literally in a ballpark that is designed to be a pitcher's park, and we've given up at least 30, 40 games this season, thanks in part to the bullpen not being able to hold teams to 3 or 4 runs in a game.
Ian.
I mean, that's the entire point.
Ian, do you think they've given up 30 or 40 games this year because of the bullpen?
I think it's exaggerating.
Honestly,
it's probably
like
9.
30 games at least.
And 30 games. Thank you, Ian.
Thanks. I think what Ian's trying to say is it feels like they've given up that many games. It's not the truth that they've given up that many games, because that's crazy. If that's not the thing.
I mean, maybe it's 10.
Yeah. And real quick before we go to break, and we'll get to all your phone calls on the other side, 844-570-1360. Did you know, and this was also in Dennis's article today, did you know what the Padres pinch hitters batting average is this year off the bench? 110. 110.
How many pinch hit at bats have they had?
Good question.
Without the double switch. All right, we'll take more calls.
110?
We'll get to the wrap. We'll give away 50-cent tickets. Cody Moon, Defensive Player of the Week for San Diego State in the Mountain West, will join us in the 5 o'clock hour. Stay with us on John and Jim. All right, the wrap on the other side. Who's going to have a better record at the end of the year? The Mets, the Padres, or the Nationals? Plus 50 cent tickets. We'll give them away this hour. Stay with us on John and Jim.
All right, this update is brought to you by Staples Stores. Aztecs, they come up with a win over Ohio on Saturday in their home opener, 20-13. Defense had 3 takeaways. Mark Redmond caught 2 touchdown passes from Jalen Maiden, and the Aztecs will take their 1-0 record up against Idaho State this Saturday at Snapdragon Stadium. 7:30 kickoff. Our pregame coverage starts at 5:30 right here on San Diego Sports 760. And the Padres, they got swept by the Brewers this weekend. They're now 61-70. They play a baseball game tonight against the Cardinals, 4:45 first pitch there. And this update's been brought to you by Staples.
All right, the wrap in a moment. Your chance to win 50 cent tickets later this hour. We have Weezer tickets to give away in the 5 o'clock hour. Cody Moon coming off an Aztec win. They had to have it. We'll get more into it in the 5 o'clock hour. Cody Moon, Aztec transfer linebacker from New Mexico, Mountain West Defensive Player of the Week, 12 tackles, will join us coming up around 5:20 or so. Before we get to the wrap, let's sneak in a call. Dwayne, you've been very patient. Dwayne, you're on with John and Jim, and thanks for calling.
Hey guys, it's Dwayne from Oceanside.
What's up, Dwayne?
And
hey, Dwayne.
You know how players, they kind of exhale after they get re-signed to new contracts.
Sure.
And when they're on their contract year, they really excel. I think Preller signed too many players at the same time, and they're all exhaling this year. What do you think about that?
Thanks for the call, Dwayne.
Thanks, Dwayne.
I'm not going to say that Manny Machado and Xander Bogaerts having bad years is because they're sitting back comfortably because they got paid money.
I agree.
I'm not going to go that route. I think they have too much
pride. How do we
pride.
explain Juan Soto's year, which has been okay, but he's got so much money to play for?
Yeah, I would look at it 2 different ways. One, just it's the nature of the beast, and they're not old players necessarily, but like, look, the older you get, your numbers are supposed to decline.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we are at with Xander Bogaerts and Manny Machado, even though Xander's only 31, Manny's 30, right? You're like, what about Juan Soto? I don't know how to explain Juan Soto. I just don't. And he's had a horrific August. What date was it that he still had a 959 OPS? Do you remember?
I don't.
But
I do not.
But before August started, his OPS was
in the 900s,
mid 900s.
It's in the 600s this month.
Yeah, so he has dropped. And I don't know how to explain the Tatis thing either. And the only explanation I have for that is
he missed a year.
He missed a year. He coming off 2 major surgeries. Like
he was suspended. PD. By the way, Manny's 31.
Okay, Manny's 31.
Yeah, Manny's 31.
So how I would explain Manny and Bogarts is just be ready for declines every year. You might get 1 year where it's like really good again, but I don't expect to have these two players be great for the next 6 years plus.
I agree with that, but I don't think they can't both be really good in 2024 because at age 31 and 32 for elite players, that is absolutely your prime. Now, I'm with you. 37, 38, 39, I'm with you. There will be declines. There's no reason those players should not be better in 2024. I can't guarantee it.
I hope.
But there's no reason those players should not be better in 2024.
Another excuse that will be used at the end of the year. I can't wait to play this excuse game at the end of the season. We have to do that before they have their end of the year press conference. But injuries, John, injuries.
They didn't have any.
You didn't hear Melvin this weekend?
It's amazing. They've had none.
And Melvin this weekend was claiming that like Manny Machado was out there playing on 2 broken legs and
he probably
2 broken arms.
He probably is, but guess what? It's baseball.
Yep.
And yeah, you didn't have Joe Musgrove early. A lot of teams, I mean, the Braves won the World Series without Ronald Acuna. Give me a break.
Yeah.
Let's get to it.
No Bryce Harper for the Nats.
Right.
Who will have a better record at the end of the year? The Mets, Padres, or the Nationals?
Nationals have definitely played a lot better since the trade deadline. The Padres have a pretty brutal schedule here the next couple weeks that might put them in a spot where I don't know if they can overtake the Nationals for record-wise. I'll go with the Nationals. I'll go with the Nationals have a slightly better record than the Padres just because the Padres, I think the next couple weeks are going to get buried.
I think the Nationals will finish at least 5 games ahead of the Padres.
Wow.
At least. Because I think the Padres, you Darvish on the IL. Manny's not going to be playing every single day. The Padres have completely, as they should, by the way. Musgrove's not coming back. As they should be looking towards 2024. I think they have no desire at all to win. And how about this? If they finish with one of the 6 worst records in baseball, they keep the pick. If they don't, it goes down 10 spots.
Tanking.
So if they don't win again, they get a top 6 pick. If they keep winning, take their pick, let's say 8th, subtract 10, they're picking 18th.
Man. And there's now a lottery too. So
yeah, they stay in the lottery if they finish in the bottom 6.
So
tank for Tua.
Tanking
for Tua. Next question.
What was your biggest takeaway from the Aztecs' first win of the year over Ohio?
I would say the defense. Chris Vanini put on Twitter. What'd I say? Twitter?
I don't know.
Doesn't matter. It's
Who cares? X. Chris Vanini put on X that game that he watched, Ohio and Aztecs, was a extremely hard hitting game. I was there. You were there for a half. There were some big time hits in that game. The defense stood out to me because that was the number one worry. We can talk about the offense. I thought the offense had some really good moments and didn't turn the ball over, except they did have a fumble. But Jalen May didn't throw an interception. He didn't turn the ball over. But for me, defense is the takeaway that stood out from their game against Ohio.
My takeaway is easily the aggressiveness. They go for it with 6 seconds to play in the second quarter. They went for it on a 4th down. They got a conversion from Jalen Armstead. They went for it on a 4th down, up 20-13, a 4th and 3, which they didn't get. But the aggressiveness did pay off. The touchdown at the end of the first half, the 4th down conversion on a touchdown drive in the second half. So that's my key takeaway from a week 0 win over Ohio.
I agree with you. It was refreshing to see Brady do that. Just the last one didn't work out.
Well, but it did not work out.
And thankfully it didn't hurt them in the end.
Next question.
In what year will either Cal, Stanford, or SMU play in the ACC championship game?
Oh, man. I'll say 2031.
I think it'll be the 2030s.
This is what I got.
Yeah, they'll be in the league in 2024 in all likelihood. This still has to be officially official. They're not going to vote on it tonight. It'll be at some point this week. It's going to be – the ACC is terrible other than Clemson, so there's a chance someone gets good over the next decade, but it won't be before the 2030s. This is a money move to give the other ACC schools more money, like all of these moves in realignment. It'll be a while. And final question.
Who is the most responsible for the Padres record?
Much time we got?
I think Jim's going to say
No.
Ruben Niebla.
No, I am not going to say Ruben Niebla or anybody from the coaching staff.
No, who would you say then?
You might think I'm. What do you think? Who do you think I'm going to say?
Man, I mean, I'm sure it's really hard to predict. Could it be AJ Preller?
Actually, you are wrong.
No, I'm right. But you might say something different.
Look, AJ Preller deserves a lot of blame, and he doesn't deserve to be the general manager of this team next year, even though he will be.
Okay, so who is it?
It's the players. It's the players. The players,
Yeah,
in particular, Manny, Soto, Xander, and Tatis.
I say the players. I'm with you. It's the players. They've underperformed. All of them.
Yeah.
All four of the big four have clearly underperformed their career averages. And that's how you get in the spot. They've all underperformed this year. All right, call right now if you want a pair of tickets to see 50 Cent, North Island Credit Union Amphitheater this Thursday. First two callers will be contestants for Trainwreck Radio. That's trivia. You need to call right now, 844-570-1360. Tickets and info, by the way, at Ticketmaster.com. Call right now if you want 2 free tickets to Thursday night to see 50 Cent. 844-570-1360. You'll play trivia with us. First two callers will be contestants. Cody Moon, San Diego State, will join us in the 5 o'clock hour. Aztec Rewind for you in the 5 o'clock hour. Stay with us on John and Jim. All right, up next, Trainwreck Radio, 5 o'clock hour, and Aztec Rewind from a Week 0 win. And Cody Moon, Aztec linebacker, the transfer from New Mexico, will join the show. Stay with us. All right, Cody Moon, San Diego State linebacker, transfer from New Mexico. He's your Mountain West Defensive Player of the Week. Aztecs beat Ohio on Saturday. They have Idaho State next Saturday, 7:30 kick. Our pregame coverage will begin at 5:30. He'll join us around 5:20 or so coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. Also, if you missed Manny Machado's outburst yesterday, our thoughts on that coming up in the 5 p.m. hour. Padres Cardinals, as the Padres play out the string for the next 31 games this week in St. Louis. So we have 50-cent tickets. We're going to give those away in a moment. We have Weezer tickets that we'll give away as well in the 5 o'clock hour. Right now, let's play.
All right, 3 questions, 2 contestants, 1 lifeline. Today's 2 contestants, we have Alonzo and we have Brian. Alonzo, you called in first. So you have your choice of John or Jim. Who do you want to go with?
I'll go with John.
Smart. Thank you, Alonzo.
All right. Brian, you get me. All right, man?
Great. Sounds good.
Yeah,
All
not
right.
as smart.
He's like, God, dang darn it. What's today's question of the day, Brent?
All right, guys, we'll get right to the point. It was week 0 last week in college football.
I love week 0.
You love
Name a team that won in week 0.
A week 0 winner.
Oh, man. First of all, can I ask the question, how many games were there?
I think there were 8 or 9.
Okay.
There weren't a lot. Brent, you know?
5.
No.
No, there
Well,
can't
are
be
you sure?
5.
Are we counting Thursday or just the weekend?
No, it should be. It should only be from this past weekend. There was no Thursday game last week. You have 5? I think there were more than that because I watched like 6.
There needs to be 6.
Whatever Brent has is what we're going to. There has to be 6.
Yeah.
Hold on. Are there real? No, there's more than 5.
No, there's 6.
There's
Okay,
6.
okay,
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 perfect.
All right. Okay. So first up, I'll be like, wait, Brian, you are up first. What is your first guess? And you do have your lifeline if you choose to use it.
My first guess will be San Diego State.
San
That's the
Diego
easy
State.
one. The easy one's
Yeah,
off the board.
Yeah, very, very good guess. Alonzo, you're up next, buddy. What is your first guess? You do have your lifeline if you choose to use it.
Yeah, USC.
USC.
SC.
Very good guess. Brian, you're up next. What is your second guess? You do have your lifeline if you choose to use it.
I will use my lifeline.
Oh, man.
All right. I'm excited for Jim.
Easy. Notre Dame. Do you take it? Take it.
Yes, I'll take it.
You're so smart.
Destroyed. They played Navy?
You don't even know who they played? It doesn't count.
No.
Yeah, they played Navy.
They played Navy, yeah. In Dublin, Ireland.
That's right.
Alonzo, you're up next. What is your second guess? You do have your lifeline if you choose to use it.
Yeah, I already know because I saw a tweet a couple days ago from a joke on Twitter about UMass.
UMass?
Yeah, it's over New Mexico State, of course, in Las Cruces.
Oh, very good
Yeah,
guess.
well done.
Wow. I'm not sure what he said before that, but he got the right
You
answer.
saw a tweet about it.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Brian, final guess, buddy. This is all up to you. You don't have your lifeline. What's your final guess, man?
I know Florida State play. I'm trying to think who they. I do not know.
You want to say Florida State?
You can say it if you want.
I'll say Florida State.
Florida State didn't play in week 0. No.
Darn it.
Which has opened the door.
Yes, it has.
For
Alonzo.
Alonzo, who's got a lifeline. I mean, this
You
thing is a
have a
layup. I could
Oh.
slam this thing. I'm like Keyshawn Johnson. I'm like,
what?
3 feet above the
Oh,
rim.
Keyshawn
This is an
Johnson.
easy
I
slam.
said Keyshawn.
No.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to use my lifeline.
I'm going to give you 2. I
No.
watched La Tech overcome a slim deficit against FIU
Why?
in Ruston, Louisiana. It was a great game on CBS Sports
Why did you
Network.
watch that?
I also watched Vanderbilt after a 4-hour lightning delay or whatever.
What is wrong
beat
with you?
Hawaii 35-28 on the SEC network. Would you like Vanderbilt and Louisiana Tech for the convincing win? He would. You want that, right, Alonzo?
Yes, I do. Yes.
I want one more ding. We win.
You know
Team
what?
John, the winner.
You know what this reminded me of? It reminded me of that viral clip of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? And the guy got to the very last round and he used his lifeline to call his dad.
Yeah.
And before he called, he goes, "Look, I know the answer. I just want to call my dad to tell him I won $1 million."
Oh, that's really cool.
So I kind of had that same vibe from you right there. It was like, I know exactly
Yes,
what
I
happened.
felt
I know
so
who
good.
I know who won. I can give you multiple
Hayes
guesses.
in the barn.
This is not even like a discussion. Take it. You just won.
Now,
Congratulations.
Alonzo, did you get $1 million? Maybe not. We'll tell you what you won.
But you got
Brent, is there someone else? Because we just named 6, didn't we? Because I gave you 2.
There's one more.
Ooh.
Okay, hold on. Now Jacksonville State's first ever FBS game is a win over UTEP. Of course it was.
That was it.
It's a big game. I'm surprised we didn't open the broadcast. Today's John and Jim with that.
You have some problems.
I do.
Yes.
Says a guy who watches back Star Wars YouTube channels.
Yes, and I admit it. I admit that I have it's not even a problem. It's just like my hobby.
Exactly. It's my hobby.
True.
I like sports.
I do too,
Kill
but I'm
me.
not watching UC Lafayette.
Right. You're watching dumb things like the Warriors of the Night. You're watching the NFL. You loser.
Oh, the NFL,
I'm
stupid
kidding.
idiot.
Congratulations, Alonzo. You've won a pair of tickets. See 50 Cent.
Maybe if you watched more games like that, you would have known Trey Lance sucked.
Yeah, exactly.
my
Maybe if you were
bad.
watching North Dakota State.
Sorry.
You've won a pair of tickets. See 50 Cent, North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. It's Thursday night, like this Thursday. Tickets at info@ticketmaster.com. By the way, we have tickets to see Weezer. Gallagher Square, September 3rd. What's like an iconic Weezer song?
God, Beverly Hills and
Beverly
Undone the
Hills.
Sweater song.
Yeah, there's a lot.
That's where you wanna be.
Islands
Okay.
in the Sun.
You know what?
Weezer's
Living
got a
in
bunch of good songs.
Beverly Hills.
Let's give those away coming up next. We'll give those away coming up next on the other side of a break. Pair of tickets to see Weezer. This is coming up September 3rd. Gallagher Square. Tickets and info at Ticketmaster.com. Cody Moon, San Diego State transfer linebacker, scheduled to join us around 5:20 tonight. We'll have an Aztec rewind for you after a week 0 win coming up next hour. Manny Machado's outburst yesterday in Milwaukee. Our reaction to that, plus Jim's back page. It is hour 3 of John and Jim next.
All right, this update is brought to you by Staples Stores. Padres they have to play games now. There's 31 remaining. They're in St. Louis taking on the Cardinals. Bottom of the first inning there. We are still scoreless. And the Aztecs, they got their first win of the year this past weekend for their home opener against Ohio. In the game, they had 3 interceptions on defense. Jalen Maiden threw 2 touchdown passes, both to Mark Redmond. Next up for the Aztecs, they take on Idaho State this Saturday, 7:30 kick at Snapdragon. Our pregame coverage starts at 5:30 right here on San Diego Sports 760. And this update has been brought to you by Staples.
All right, San Diego, Southern California, what's going on? It's hour 3 of John and Jim. We're expected to be joined in about 20 minutes by Cody Moon, San Diego State linebacker, Mountain West Defensive Player of the Week. Aztecs beat Ohio this past weekend. He's supposed to join us around 5:20 or so. We'll have an Aztecs rewind for you coming up this hour as well. Jim's back page 2 and Weezer tickets. We'll give those away within the next 15 minutes. Weezer tickets, September 3rd at Gallagher Square, Petco Park. Now, if you've been under a rock, the Padres season is basically over.
Correct.
And I hate to do that spoiler alert type of stuff, but it just is.
Is it a Jim fact?
Yeah, basically. Barring like a 30-1 finish, and even then they probably like the 5 seed or the 6 seed.
Yeah.
The season is over. But here's what's interesting to me about yesterday, and we've barely even mentioned this. Manny Machado takes out frustration on like a water cooler in the dugout. Someone had a funny comment last night in the wrap-up show. Would he have hit it if there was someone in scoring position? That's a very, very funny comment. You know, the frustration, honestly, I appreciate it. It's nice to know that he cares. My first reaction, though, was like, why didn't you do this like May 9th or June 1st or July 3rd or August 1st? To me, it was a little late to be frustrated because we've been talking about it for so long, Jim. The writing's on the wall. And I guess it's just the culmination of a bad year.
I get it. I'm not overly gonna criticize it. But I will say that it's a bad look. I mean, for whatever you want to say about it, I think the optics of it look bad because when this season officially ends, right? It's over now, but when they don't have any more games on their schedule, which the funeral, by the way, guys, will be October 2nd. If anybody's wondering, the official funeral date for the 2023 Padres will be October 2nd. They'll be eliminated before then. I get it, but the last day of the season is October 1st, and October 2nd, that Monday, will be the funeral of the 2023 Padres. 2023.
Oh, I saw a kitty cat.
But the 2 images that came out of this past weekend that I think are going to be just plastered on this, gravestone,
or on like the VHS tape for 2023 season. Machado just hammering a water cooler.
It's Jake Cronenworth at the top step with the largest cast I've ever seen for a broken wrist.
You can't have a larger cast.
Like, bro,
It's like 4 feet long.
Did you break every bone in your?
He looks
in
like a
your arm?
transformer.
He channeled his Cowboy Bob Orton with his cast.
What happened? Like it was your wrist.
Like, why is
it all the way up to like
your neck?
Exactly, like over your head.
I mean, the cast is like,
yeah, it doesn't make sense.
And then it's Manny Machado beating the living hell out of this poor Gatorade cooler.
I mean, I get the guy plays every day. It has this elbow situation. It's been a bad year. I understand frustration. Everything they do is televised. I mean, he's on television for literally hours a day. It's reasonable to be upset and to be. It is reasonable to be. He's not the first player to take out frustration on a water cooler.
Hassan Kim did the same thing earlier in the year, and he almost broke his foot.
That's right. So it does happen. Now, when it's Manny Machado, it trends on Twitter.
Mhm.
He's very polarizing. People love to hate Manny Machado. I'm not talking about Padres fans. I'm talking about
Others.
baseball fans. I think Manny Machado, if he's being honest, and he is, by the way, because he talked to Kevin Acee afterwards, Manny Machado will say at the end of the year it was a bad year. And
He did.
I know he's already said it.
Yeah.
And he will say it again.
The Kevin wrote a big article today about it.
I know. I saw it. But he's going to say again at the end of the year, hey, bad year for me, bad year for the team. I could be better. This isn't the responsibility of AJ. And listen, I'm not in ownership or management. Just a bad year. It's been a bad year. So it's reasonable for an athlete having a bad year to be frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
And I really do kind of, because everything else has been so like lifeless out of this team, going through the motions, losing every day, 6-14 the last 20. To see someone care, kind of refreshing for me.
I don't disagree with you, but I mean, I will say the optics of it, dude, just don't.
What are the optics?
The optics of it are
he
that is
beat up a water cooler.
I know that is the image of the 2023 Padres. Manny Machado beating the crap out of a water cooler.
No, it ain't. Well, I got more for you. AJ's amazing. Kershaw meme.
Image, video.
There's more.
There's more, but I could make an argument that's close to the top of the list.
Yeah, maybe.
I thought it was too little too late. And I don't know. It kind of seemed fake. Like he's gonna, I'm gonna go out there and,
eyewash,
beat the crap out of this
eyewash bread. Eyewash.
I'm gonna go beat the crap out of this, Gatorade cooler. So then they'll go, oh look, he cares. Why didn't you do that like 2 months ago? Maybe it would have lit a fire under your guys' asses and you would have played better instead of just wait until the end of the year. You'll be, just wait.
By the way,
what do you have?
No,
I have the greatest text ever.
Okay, you go for it.
I'm so glad this text came in. Thank you, 858. Machado didn't beat up a cooler back in May because the team and media was busy telling everyone that the team would be fine. It's early, track records, blah, blah, blah. Well, I know you're not talking about us.
Hold on. Can we just get a slow clap started?
Thank you.
Thank you. We love it.
First of all, you made us have an easy next hour.
Thank you. Yeah.
First of all, if you hold the media accountable for the Padres' failures, that's like the most ridiculous thing you could possibly do. Give me an analogy on that.
Well, technically, it is kind of my fault for Xander Bogaerts, but I digress.
Like, give me a comparison. Give me a comp to holding the media accountable for the Padres' 2023 failures. A non-sports comp.
Non-sports?
Is it the cops' fault you were going 96?
Oh, it's a good one.
It's his fault. You're going 96.
Yeah, but but you got caught. Yeah, that's a good one,
right?
I would say that. That's probably the best one I could think of.
Dude, this is San Diego. You think there's a lot of pressure here created by the media? Give me a break.
Yeah.
There's just not. And by the way, we said early. Well, there's some stuff going on here. We said early.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of concerns. Dude, I could have told you as recently as Friday, hey, this is the best team in baseball history. You think I have something to do with the Padres' struggles?
Well, and I remember 2-3 months ago when we were critical of the team, a bunch of people on the text line was like,
critical.
In 3 months, you guys are going to be kissing our butts because they're going to be in the playoffs, and you guys are so wrong.
I didn't say what Manny said. Jump off the bandwagon now. You'll be kicking yourself, essentially.
I'm not sitting here telling people not to have, any anger towards this team. I'm not sitting here saying that, it's just a knee-jerk reaction to this team this year. I think you should just, keep everybody in place and run it back this year. I'm not telling you that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you the truth. Okay. And we've told you the truth all along, every single day. Things change, right? Like one day it's sunny outside. The next day it's raining. Like things change. It just because at the beginning of this year, which everybody did. Okay. And you might be like, well, it's groupthink. No, I truly believed coming off an NLCS run that adding Fernando Tatis Jr. and Xander Bogaerts to the team and Juan Soto being a Padre for a full year and Josh Hader being a Padre for a full year, this team would be good.
That's why you're such an idiot, Jim.
And guess what? Everybody was wrong. Everybody was wrong. It's okay. It happens.
It's kind of my defense of AJ Preller.
Oh,
it's like there were baseball people. Almost all baseball people have been surprised by the Padres' struggles, right? It's not just the media. or the fans. It's been those that cover the sport, right? Sabermetrics.
You know who was actually right about this whole
Who?
thing?
Brent.
Close.
No, Brent said like how many wins?
You said around 80. You said mid 80s. I remember you said mid 80s, mid to high 80s.
I think I said 84 or something like that. They're like barely above 500.
Who was right?
Our buddy Dick Monfort.
Yeah, unfortunately, he was. In fact, he might have been a little high. Or no, he was talking about the Rockies when he said maybe we can win 80 games. He might have been talking about the Padres.
We ripped Dick Monfort. Turned out to be right.
Yeah, I mean, I forget the point I was going to make about the
media's fault and just all that stuff. Right?
Media's fault. I mean, honestly,
he might be trolling. That guy might be trolling.
I know. I kind of like it, to be honest.
No,
keep trolling
because I think there are people out there that legitimately think that by some weird force, us, heaven forbid, hyping up a Padres season coming off an NLCS was the wrong thing.
I know what I was going to say. Well, here's the thing: we're paid to offer opinions.
Yeah.
So what do you want us to do? Come on the air in October and be like, the Padres have signed whomever to a minor league deal. We'll be back tomorrow. Like, we're going to offer opinions on what they're doing. They made the NLCS without Xander Bogaerts and Fernando Tatis Jr. Wouldn't you be an idiot to think that they weren't going to be as good as they were a year ago?
Yeah, I think so.
So that's why it is confounding.
Yeah.
And that's why there is some issue that we're not fully aware of, like that they need to get to the bottom of. Kevin talked about this with Darren briefly, I think earlier today. Like, they are beginning the autopsy now to find out what has gone wrong and how that can be fixed, if it can be fixed.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the autopsy is pretty clear, the root of the issue.
What is it?
It is AJ Preller, and it's how this organization is run, and it's everybody involved from top to bottom. But I do agree it would be very difficult to just wipe the slate clean. But my retort to that is, if not now, what's it going to take to fully make a change? Like,
if not now, what's it going to fully take to make a change?
Another bad year?
I mean, right. It is fair. Like, you want to wait another year. So if it doesn't go well in 2024, well, clearly then you make a change. If it does go well in 2024, well, he's just bought himself more time. If it does go well, obviously. I mean, what's the point of waiting if you're going to make a change at some point or another anyway?
Do what must be done.
Well, I mean, it's interesting because you say, like, I don't know if Peter Seidler has the willingness or desire to be that guy, but why do you say that?
Because of 2021 and the backing of AJ Preller after the disaster collapse they had, the scathing articles that came out pretty much stripping down this organization from top to bottom, saying the problems that were going on in there, to AJ's excellence, all of that, to also him reiterating he wants to have stability, even if it means the stability of your team results in years like this year.
And instability with a lot of other things, like your coaching staff and your manager.
Right. It makes no sense. It's a lot of, it's almost like you're a hypocrite.
It's like one part is stable,
but the other part
nothing
is
else
not.
is.
And that's the only part that matters, is the big league club.
Drastic changes at trade deadlines, off seasons, coaches, managers
being kind of reckless at times.
Yeah. It's interesting. Now, again, he's under contract through 2026. The last time we heard from Peter Seidler, and my guess is you don't hear from him again until the offseason at this point.
Correct.
The last time we heard from him, glowing remarks. It was glowing. Now, I don't think he went much further than what AJ Preller told Marty Caswell 2 years ago about Jace Tingler, which was, hey, I think he's a 10-year manager here. And then 6 weeks later, he was gone.
He didn't call him excellence.
No, he didn't. And it was, I thought there were strong words, but it was a couple of sentences or 20 or 30 seconds where Peter Seidler gave quote upon quote upon quote about AJ Preller.
He sat with Kevin in a suite in Cincinnati. And that was when they got swept in Cincinnati. Remember that series? They went, I think they won one game road trip.
They won one in Cincinnati. They were swept in Pittsburgh.
Okay, you're right. But that was the road trip from hell.
Oh, it was terrible.
Among other road trips from hell.
Like this one right now.
Exactly. Which is the first one. And even in the midst of that stretch, you still said that the guys who was in charge is excellence. That's why I think, unfortunately, Peter Seidler is putting himself in a situation where fans will start putting blame on him. It's great that he opened up his checkbook. It's great that he is spending money. As a fan of a team, you want your owner to spend. You want your owner to always be in on every single free agent, because if not, then you're just like the Kansas City Royals, and you don't want to be the Kansas City Royals. So I give him credit for that. But just because he does that does not excuse his faith and frankly, at this point, blind faith in AJ Preller. It does not excuse that at all.
Assuming he remains for 2024. I think to this point, you could make the argument that, obviously he was coming back in 2023 off 2022. So if you kept him after 2021, of course he's coming back after 2022. We'll see what he does. I mean, I'm with you. I don't know if it would be shocking, but I'd be very surprised. Now, then there's this whole idea. Well, why not just hire a GM? Because you've elevated AJ Preller. So why not just hire a GM?
Didn't Darren talk about this today? I think he did.
Well, we've talked about this, haven't we? I think everyone's talked about
Everybody
this.
has. I'm just reiterating. Yeah.
Yeah. When I don't even know if hopefully the signal's better, because
if you're out there,
if
you're listening to us on terrestrial radio.
So I don't know if he did or not. But there's also that idea. Now, we talked about this, I think, as recently as last week. The issue there is, if you hire someone underneath AJ Preller, aren't you just hiring AJ? I mean, you're not changing anything. Now, if you hire someone over top AJ Preller, the problem is you've elevated him. So there is no over top AJ Preller other than Peter Seidler, who's in lockstep with it. So it's weird. I think if you hire a GM, who's going to have faith that the GM is operating independently from AJ Preller?
Right. And that is, I do, just thinking about it right now, that's not good enough for me either. If you end up elevating somebody in your organization to the title of general manager, and in the offseason, there's this big press conference how AJ's taken a quote unquote step back, and that this person is
right.
Chris Kemp is even with the organization anymore. I don't know. I'm just throwing out a name that used to be or is with the organization, whatever.
Well, you can't hire from within for your GM.
Oh, really?
That I can assure you.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you don't think so? They couldn't do that?
I'd rather just, at that point, you're not hiring a GM.
Dennis Lynn put it pretty bluntly today that this organization is a hire from within organization.
There's no way, and I'll eat these words, if at the end of the season they hire a GM and he's internal, that is worse than keeping the vice president and GM.
I'm laying out something that I think that could happen if you want to talk about making these changes that would appease the fan base, but also help your team potentially. I don't think it would help them. The end of the year, AJ's sitting up there with Peter talking about how this season was a disappointment,
right?
And I need to be better, and it falls on my shoulders, and it's my responsibility. Right. So with that being said, I'm not taking a step back, but I'm hiring a general manager to take over the day-to-day operations while I'll still be in place as the president of baseball operations. So with that being said, so-and-so, who has been with the Padres for many years, will be the GM of the team.
That doesn't make sense.
If that happens,
that makes less sense than hiring Ryan Flaherty.
Well, Ryan Flaherty, John, has been with the team for how long now? That's hiring from within, from disaster. So you don't think
this makes even less sense.
But you don't think it's possible if they hire Ryan Flaherty? You don't think it's possible they hire a GM from within?
Do I think Josh Stein is going to be elevated to general manager? Is that what you're asking me?
Yeah, I don't know, John. That's a pretty good possibility, if I would say so.
You think that's a pretty good possibility
if they decide to hire a GM under Preller?
No, I don't see it.
They'll probably just grab someone off the Texas Rangers scrap heap again.
Right. I mean, at least you're going to go elsewhere.
Preller does not hire anybody that he does not have a previous or prior relationship with,
other than Bob Melvin.
Well, to me, that was more of a decision probably out of his hands. And Bob Melvin was the person who wanted to be here, and it fell into their lap. Because if Bob Melvin did not fall into their lap, who are they hiring? I don't know, but I'm just, it's probably another first name.
Well, now we're talking about multiple things. Here's the thing. My overall point is this. If Preller's still here, I don't care who the GM is, but You talk about optics. The optics of hiring a GM to work under AJ Preller that is already here is way worse than Manny Machado swinging at a water cooler, and is equally, if not more egregious than hiring Ryan Flaherty as your next manager.
I agree.
Okay.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you. Well, I'm on board with you, bro.
They're not hiring. I'm telling you, save this, mark this, because I'm that confident in it.
I hope you're right.
You don't come off a 70-92 season and be like, hey, we're elevating internally, and here's why. It's one thing if you keep your job, but you're not elevating.
You don't think, because they did this after 2021, by the way. They made a bunch of quote unquote moves, and it was a lot of shuffling from within.
Right.
There's a lot of shuffling going on.
It
was like, oh yeah, we're making changes, but they're really not making changes. They're just acting like they're making changes because they're changing titles for people. You don't think that could happen again?
No, people were let go in 2021. Yeah, they did rearrange the deck. I'm with you. They made changes.
They let go of people that I'm not going to say they didn't matter, but they let go of people. They let go of the wrong people.
Yeah, no, I mean, maybe.
They let go of the wrong people in 2021.
Yes and no. I mean, they got rid of Jace Tingler. I don't remember a lot of support for Tingler at the end of 2021. Right? And I think a lot of people were on board with Bob Melvin coming in 2022.
Was there a lot of support for AJ Preller
at the end of 2021?
Mm-hmm.
No, right?
No.
I'm not sure what you're looking for me to say. There wasn't.
No. I mean, Bob Melvin was I thought a good hire. I also thought it was a out of it was out of character hire by AJ Preller. And to me that signaled that wasn't the first choice. It almost signaled like, oh, Bob Melvin wants to manage here.
Right.
We got to make this thing happen.
Right.
Okay,
here's what we're going to do. Cody Moon, San Diego State transfer linebacker from New Mexico. How many players have ever played for Rocky Long, Brady Hoke, and Kurt Maddox that aren't Aztecs? Well, Cody Moon is one of those guys. He is the Mountain West Player of the Week as San Diego State beat Ohio. He will join us coming up on the other side, plus an Aztec rewind for you, taking a look back at week 0. San Diego State 1-0 after beating Ohio on Saturday at Snapdragon Stadium. Jim's back page is still ahead. Stay with us right here on John and Jim. Hey guys, it's Schaefer, and with the red and black back on the gridiron, Windmill Farms, the college area's natural grocer, is offering 20% off any order of $25 or more through September 3rd. Mention football checkout, whether you're tailgating at Snapdragon, at home, you're in your dorm. Windmill Farms has you covered for all your game day needs, featuring organic, farm fresh produce and meats, an amazing craft beer selection, plus a full deli with award-winning sandwiches. Remember to mention football. You'll receive 20% off your entire cart. Windmillfarms.com. Mention football. Receive 20% off your entire cart now through September 3rd. Windmillfarmsmarket.com.
All right, this update's brought to you by Staples Stores. Padres, Cardinals, happening right now in St. Louis. Doesn't matter, but they still have to play these games. It's scoreless, bottom of the third inning there. Aztecs beat Ohio this past weekend in week 0 for their home opener, 20-13. Cody Moon, who will be joining us next, was the Mountain West Conference Defensive Player of the Week. Jalen Maiden threw 2 touchdown passes to Mark Redmond. Next up for the Aztecs, they take on Idaho State this Saturday night at Snapdragon Stadium, 7:30 kickoff. 5:30 is when our pregame coverage starts right here on San Diego Sports 760. And this update has been brought to you by Staples.
All right, Cody Moon will join us momentarily off the practice field. San Diego State is getting ready for Idaho State. We'll have an Aztec Rewind coming up for you in the next handful of minutes. Should we give away these tickets, Brent? When do we want to do that? We'll do that coming up. Don't call now. Everyone wants to see Weezer. Don't call now. We'll tell you when to call for those Weezer tickets. Plus, Jim's back page is still ahead. We said winning game 1 was huge for San Diego State. It's one thing if you opened up like at Florida State, okay, you don't have to win the game. You know what I mean? But they didn't. They opened against an Ohio team that was coming off a 10-win season. And then you looked at San Diego State's schedule, and you're like, yo, you got to win this game.
You almost viewed it, and I heard J.R. Tover on with Darren today, and we talked about it. Like, you almost kind of viewed it as a must-win.
Yes.
And the way that Brady Hoke coached that game in situations where in the past he might have either kicked a field goal or punted away, like, he coached that game with we have to win this game. The urgency that was needed there, I loved it, and it paid off with a win.
It certainly did. We've got Cody Moon with us right now, the transfer from New Mexico. What a debut for San Diego State. Named Mountain West Defensive Player of the Week, led the team with 12 tackles. With us right now in the home of the Aztecs, San Diego Sports 760. Cody, we appreciate your time. It must have been really rewarding for you. You transfer in, you play an instrumental role in a victory. What was this past weekend like for you? And thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you again for having me. It's great to be here. This weekend was a great start to a new beginning. I'd like to say, I'm just starting. We're all just starting. We're here to play 14 games. I was able to go out there, have a good game. I was a little nervous on who I can show who I am, how I could show who I am here in San Diego. I wanted to make sure I could prove myself and be not the same person from last year, but a better player from last year. And I feel like how I was able to come out with my teammates and the other linebackers to have my back out there, I was able to prove I can keep going and get better for this team.
Cody, we've talked a lot about this defense before the start of the season. A lot of new faces on this defense from last year, and we said, hey, look, going into the first game against Ohio, like, that was one of our concerns, is how is the defense going to look? And frankly, I think you guys looked as good as you could have looked this past weekend. How did you feel about the overall performance of the defense with a lot of new faces on it, you included?
Yeah, I mean, the performance, it can always get better. If you're satisfied, you're never going to get better. You're never going to win a conference championship if you're satisfied. So I think we were able to go out there, do some good things, but we still got a lot to improve on. Still made a few mistakes, vital errors, dumb mistakes that shouldn't happen if you're focused in on the game. So we can improve on those things. But overall, we played a good game, but still a lot to improve on.
Mountain West Defensive Player of the Week, Cody Moon, the New Mexico transfer, with us right now on John and Jim. Now, you're one of the few players outside of San Diego State, but a lot of Aztecs have done this, that have played for Rocky Long. You've been coached by Rocky Long. You've been coached, obviously, by Kurt Maddox now, Brady Hoke. Do you feel fortunate to play for so many, elite defensive-minded coaches?
Oh, I'm very grateful for this opportunity. Playing for Coach Long was probably a big eye-opener for my career. He was able to teach me a bunch of things about the game I never knew, and that I think I utilize to this day on how I play my game. I learned a lot of those things from Coach Long, so I thank him for that. Coach Maddox, he's got a different type of brain also. I saw Coach Long and I thought, man, he knows it all. And then I come here to Coach Maddox and he knows it all too, but he knows it all in different ways. So it's just an eye-opener to know that everybody can know it all, but there's always more to learn. So I couldn't be more fortunate to come here and play for such great coaches.
Cody, what made San Diego State the right fit for you to come here?
I mean, I love what they do here. Again, the defense we run here is pretty similar to the defense I learned when I got to college. So it was about the easiest transfer or transition I can make. But just the hard work. We're not here for the show. We're not here to take pictures. We're not here to take videos. We're here to work and win championships. And that's kind of how I like to view myself. I don't want to be part of the flashy stuff. I want to work and make myself known that way.
Well, big game for the Aztecs in the victory on Saturday over Ohio. Cody Moon, San Diego State transfer linebacker, with us right now on John and Jim. Cody, what is it like when you see a head coach play as aggressive as Brady did this past weekend? For example, 6 seconds to play in the first half, going for a score there that wasn't a field goal. It pays off. There was a 4th down conversion on the ground, part of a touchdown drive there in the second half that was critical for the win. It must be really, it must really give you confidence when you see your head coach with that level of aggressiveness.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. There's some things where you're going to sit and think, and you're like, dang, maybe if we can make this field goal, it's going to be a 7-point game, and then they'd have to score a touchdown. And you can sit there and think all that you want. They know a whole lot more than I do, so I'd never question anything they say. But for them to have to have the nerve to be able to do that, it's really good, because you'll never win a game if you don't take chances. You'll never win a conference championship if you don't take chances. So Coach Hoke wanting to take chances and believes in his players to make the plays when plays need to be made is a big thing for me, that he believes in us and knows that we are playmakers out there.
Cody, what did you think of the offense and how Jalen Mayden performed on Saturday?
I mean, they went out there and they did their thing. If I'm gonna be honest, they went out there. They started a little slow, but talking to Jalen, he just needed to get a feel for them. He was looking at film, kind of misjudged them. He needed to just let loose. He was up in his nerves a little bit, but once I seen Jalen relax a little bit, he was playing just like himself, and they went out there and did their thing.
Cody, were you called for the personal foul in the Ratcliffe return? We forget.
Yeah, I was roughing the passer.
So now I'm curious. What's the conversation? You got a true freshman. Now you went with a 103-yard return. So what's the conversation like between you and Marcus Ratcliffe after that?
The funny thing is I just told him today we're out here at practice, and I came up. I said, Marcus Ratcliffe with the pick 6. Just kidding. It was kind of a joke, because, like, I could have had my head more to the side, and I could have not hit him in his head, and those are things I could improve on. It's an iffy call, in my opinion. Obviously, it's a call for me, so I don't want the call to be made. But if it was my quarterback, Jalen, getting hit, call that play every time, or call that flag every time. So you can't be mad at the refs. They're going to call it whenever they call it. But it's kind of just a little bit of a joke between me and Marcus. I would have loved for Marcus to be able to get that on his stat record, because for a true freshman to make a big play like that, that's big in his head and his mental game. So hopefully he's able to go out next week and get another one.
Yeah, it's just a 103-yard touchdown return. It's fine.
Yeah, it happens all the
Yeah.
time, Cody.
But again, it comes in a win. And congratulations, seriously, Cody. A really impressive performance for this defense, which played elite once again on Saturday. Congratulations on being named Mountain West Defensive Player of the Week. Best of luck this weekend against Idaho State, and thanks for doing it today.
Of course. Thank you guys for having me.
All right, Cody Moon, San Diego State linebacker. All right, this is new for Mondays. Following San Diego State football and basketball. Let's get to it in a moment. Not yet. Got to be patient.
In just
Jim.
one moment.
Patient. My son is not patient with anything.
I'm not patient with anything.
I know. You're not my son, though. All right, let's get to it. All right, I got 3. No, you can continue. I'm sorry. I just cut that off.
What?
Yeah, okay. That was great. This is why this is live radio. My bad. I forgot we were playing a highlight in because I heard Ted there. So I forgot we were playing a highlight in. Do we have a highlight from Ted from the win? We do. All right.
I expect that from him, not from you.
I have 3 takeaways from this game, as if Jim knew or something that was going to happen.
I don't know.
You don't even know that we're doing this. Okay, 3 takeaways. 3 takeaways from this win. We just played the Redmond touchdown reception for Maiden. He had 2. Jalen Maiden, I thought was vastly improved. Here's why. He didn't turn the football over. All right, 2 touchdowns, no picks, 17 to 27, very efficient. I thought Jalen Maiden really played well considering the circumstances game 1. Another takeaway. San Diego State last year was -5 in turnovers. They were +2, should have been +3 with the Marcus Ratcliffe thing we were just talking about. And then my final takeaway, and you talked about this earlier, San Diego State's defense is going to be really good. They can replace parts. They can replace their defensive line. Marcus Ratcliffe's a star in the making. Cody Moon's going to have 100-plus tackles like he did a year ago.
Their secondary.
We just had him on. The secondary has all kinds of experience. The defense, Jim, once again, is going to be really good.
Yeah, that was a very good start for the defense. I think, by the way, can I just say, that's our first time talking to Cody, and I love his attitude.
Yeah, he was really good.
I mean, that is exactly who you want leading your defense, a guy that doesn't care about anything but ball. Like, that's the guy I want leading my defense. I thought he was great. The offense did struggle. They didn't look good at times. It kind of reminded you a lot of the start of last season at times, and you're like, okay, what's going on here? But like we have heard from people around this football team in regards to Jalen, is that he kind of gets himself into the game as the game goes on. And you saw that happen. You saw the drive at the end of the first half, and I believe it was, what was it? It was the end of the third quarter. Or
where they went to Jalen Armstead a lot.
Yeah, and then they had a drive where they went to Redmond a lot down the field that ended in a touchdown. I think tempo would serve this offense well in the future, but there's a lot of things that you saw that gave you hope. You just want to see it happen throughout the course of the entire game, not just in small bursts.
They were a little slow to get going, but I thought the offensive line had more push on Saturday than they did last year. Last year, they weren't getting off the ball right, and they just weren't hitting their blocks. And, it showed with, our lack of a rushing attack that we had last year. And we had that, was it 1 or 2 drives where it was Armstead just kind of took over there.
Yeah, he was great.
But they're getting off their blocks. And so I think that's something that looked improved over last year, that, they should just get better. And they didn't have as many, at least once or twice a game last year, we would have some points taken off the board because someone got called for offsides or holding. We had I think we had 1 or 2 these situations where that happened this weekend, but not nearly as much as we did last year. So it seems like they've tightened that up too.
And Ohio's, I mean, you say what you want about Ohio, but they won 10 games last year. They're a good football team.
And no doubt. And I think obviously losing their starting quarterback could have been a factor, but CJ Harris last year, their backup, played very well as well down the stretch.
I was worried when they lost their starting quarterback
because we've seen that
last
play
year,
out
every
before.
time we would knock out their starter, their back would come in and
Rourke
just
cannot stay healthy, man. I feel bad for him. I mean, there's ACL and then concussion right away. It's like,
no, you never want to see someone get hurt. All right, your Aztec Rewind. San Diego State 1-0 with the red and black back of the gridiron. Windmill Farms, the college area's natural grocer, is offering 20% off any order of $25 or more. You heard me right. 20% off at Windmill Farms now through September 3rd. Any order of $25 or more. Get organic, farm fresh produce and meat, craft beer, and a full deli at Windmill Farms. Mention football for 20% off at checkout. Again, mention football for 20% off at checkout at Windmill Farms. Jim's back page plus Weezer tickets. We'll give them away next. All right, we've got Weezer tickets to give away, plus Jim's back page next. Weezer, September 3rd, Gallagher Square. Tickets and info at Ticketmaster.com. Caller 4, they are yours. 2 free tickets, 844-570-1360. 2 free tickets, see Weezer. Caller 4, they are yours. Gallagher Square, September 3rd, 844-570-1360. Call right now. Let's get to this.
It is pumpkin spice season, John.
Yes.
I officially got my cold brew pumpkin cream cold drink from Starbucks this past weekend.
Wait, what? Did you get your trash bags from Hefty or whatever?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
No, I did not.
Were
They're
you
not
all
out
worried
yet.
about this music?
No, it's fine.
You thought that it was a little too loud.
It's okay
for Jim's liking.
It's okay. He's on the phone. It's fine.
Just talk louder. Don't be so soft.
Yeah.
Oreo has released their version of a pumpkin spiced flavored Oreo cookie, now back on shelves.
Is the orange in
I
the
bought
middle?
those last week.
Is it orange in the middle or is it orange cookies?
No, it's like a gold cookie, and then it's like pumpkin spice flavor.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's a
amazing.
normal golden cookie and
Yeah.
then pumpkin spice cream.
I love this. He's giving out the Weezer tickets. He's like, he
Right.
has to talk about the cookies.
Yeah. So
That sounds amazing.
it does. I feel like we need a box of those.
2 boxes.
3 boxes.
They're available now
available now.
in August. Okay.
Brent said he bought them last week.
Well, I thought he had a special offer.
Yeah. This is actually a sports story on the back page,
Weird.
but we haven't mentioned it today. And I probably should have been in my Is That Good, but I completely forgot about it.
Mhm.
I'm sorry. But California won the Little League World Series
I know.
on a walk-off home run.
I know. Was it against Uruguay?
No.
It was against Curacao.
And Curacao didn't allow a home run in the Little
And
League
you
World
heard
Series.
and Carl Ravitch like,
Carl Ravitch pulled the jinx.
Uruguay or
Yeah.
Curacao is not allowed a home run. Boom, homer. Game over.
Gone.
Come on, Carl.
Carl.
But at least it benefited
Carl.
the U.S. So does anyone really care?
No,
Outside of Curacao?
No, but congratulations to California.
Thank you.
El Segundo, I believe.
Yes. So LA area.
LA area. I'm sure you can hear us on if the radio signal's still up. San Diego Sports 760.
Nice endorsement. Anyone listening in El Segundo right now?
Yeah.
70470 start.
Or are you listening to?
Yeah. Anyone listening in Orange or LA counties right now? 70470 started with team.
Starting today, John, you can score a free Pepsi. And
great.
Yeah, because it's the.
Is it pumpkin spiced?
No.
Okay.
Pepsi is here to hook you up with a free drink as of today. The campaign is kicking off its 125th birthday with 125 days of celebration, including giving everyone in America a free soft drink. You even have a chance to visit the Pepsi 125 diner in New York City.
So how do we get it?
The claim, it says, starting today, you can score a free Pepsi up to $2.50
Mm-hmm.
in the form of a reimbursement just by showing proof of purchase. To claim your money, text Pepsi 125 to 81234.
All he wanted was a Pepsi.
You will need your physical receipt or a screenshot of your confirmation email if you bought it online showing the Pepsi retailer
So
and
much
date of
work.
purchase. I
So much
know.
work. For $2?
I'm like, come on, guys. I'll just buy it.
Pepsi or Coke?
Pepsi. Or no. Oh, which would I choose?
Coke.
Yeah, Pepsi or Coke.
Coke. Not even close.
Okay, I'm the only Pepsi person.
By the way, 125 years. They've been around since 1890.
George from Seinfeld.
Yeah.
They've been around since the 1800s. Pepsi?
Yeah.
Pepsi, bro.
I never would have known that.
Pepsi, bruh.
I thought it was from like 1975.
Yeah.
So then no pumpkin spice Pepsi? It's a missed opportunity.
Cross your fingers.
Oh, and finally, this happened over the weekend. R.I.P. to the great Bob Barker.
Bob Barker died?
Where were you at?
Yeah.
Really?
99 years old.
No, John, we just made it up.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Just kidding.
Yeah, the Price is Right. The question was Bob Barker got close to 100 without going over.
Yeah, that was the meme.
That's terrible.
But
By
I'm
the way,
bummed.
I'll be honest, I didn't realize he was living.
He lived a great life. 99 years old.
That's amazing.
Born in 1923. Really good.
Get your pets spayed neutered.
R.I.P. Bob Barker.
It's older than Pepsi.
No, Pepsi's 125.
I know, that's a joke.
If you missed anything today, sportssd.com, iHeartRadio app, iTunes, TuneIn
so
Radio,
literal.
Spotify. You can find us now on YouTube by searching John and Jim 760. Find us on social media at John and Jim. JONANDJIM. We are back tomorrow at 3 p.m. So join us then. For Brent and Jim, I'm John. Keep it right here. It is the all-new San Diego Sports 760.
Okay.
Okay.